All right, good morning to you all. Thank you for the opportunities to speak here. I would say life, like that's also Leadership Initiative for Excellence, is also a game. Life is a game. And if you think now about your strengths, most of you are students, your biggest advantage right now is this youth. I mean, we've talked a lot about right education, right mentors, but I think what is also a big advantage is that you can try out now many things. You haven't done anything before, like you're in the start of everything, so you can try out. You can just start from the very first beginning. And as I'm also still young, like I actually believed in that kind of vision, in that kind of dream. And therefore, I've also created my own company, originally from Germany, now living in London, coming more from the European perspective. I've started my own construction company focused on energy efficiency. So the inspiration to do that was kind of also on a game. Like our family, like with my co-founder, owned a lot of private real estate. And 25 years ago, like we've applied new technologies, energy efficient materials, and we've seen that that's a big advantage to drive down energy costs. And we thought about like we should do something in our study times. From the very first beginning, we thought like we want to create something. And we've asked also ourselves like, why should we do that? At that point, we didn't want to earn big money. We didn't want to impress ourselves and get the new famous CEO. We just wanted to start something, create something. And that's a big lesson, I think, like what you should do as well. Like you should ask yourself, why do you want to become the next leader? And I think what is really incremental, we've heard that before, help others, find a way of problem solving, of change making. Do not start to think about earning money. You can do that when you're leaving your university. You can easily get a super paid job and drive up your career. But like it's about purpose. At this very first stage, you're kind of independent. Even if you have to perform your studies pretty well, you also have to try it out now, because now you have the time for that. Once you're getting into a later stage and starting your company from there, like you have to think all the time about your expenses, about your living expenses, and you should do it now, because you could do it at both times. You could pursue your studies at a reasonable amount, but at the same time also really get things doing and start your own thing. Like just be inspired by some ideas and get starting. I mean, like I've said, like I founded that headquartered in Frankfurt, in Germany. Right now we've spread across Europe. Like first we've done energy efficient materials and techniques in Europe, so we've refurbished a lot of commercial and residential buildings. And later on, we've done also the expansion into new constructions, into developing areas like Middle East, in Africa, like Nigeria, Morocco. So there's a big demand for housing, for building. And we wanted to provide that, again, with a energy efficient structure, which is important. Again, it's also about optimization. We are also involved in renewable energies as well, but like the most important thing about this kind of sector is that you're driving down your energy costs. When I'm talking to a CFO, they are asking me what kind of value are you bringing with, and we are driving down energy costs. So it's a big savings cost factor. You can drive down 30% of your energy costs. What is still really nice, and what I love about my job, is that you at the same time have an impact, an environmentally friendly impact. So we are not a social business, we are economic driven, but at the same time we can actually reduce CO2 emissions, we can make an impact, and that's what I'm really driven off, and what was also the reason when we started the company. Because we were thrilled by the idea that we can make an impact, like on a really small scale at that time, that we can help the environment at the same time being economic, starting your own company. And right now, we've reached the scale where it's even getting more serious. And that's again, life is a game. with a really serious impact in the end. But just try it out, like not so much burdened with all kind of theories and strategies. Just try it out now, and then it becomes serious. What we've all heard also from our previous talk, I think that's really important, your personal failures. I mean, in the end, it's about winning, that's true. But like in the process to get there, you can't be a superstar from the very first beginning on. That's actually not possible. So I think it's actually more interesting to hear about also personal failures. And in my development, I've made a lot. And you can't even expect when you start your own company which could happen at all. I mean, we had a big trust issue in our team. We were 3 co-founders at the beginning. And the third person, he just got money from our firm bank account. So he just stole it in the end. So we were trusting each other at the beginning, and then we've seen like this big issue, and we have to reduce our team to 2 people. But like that's actually so important. When you build up your team, like think about whom you can really, really trust. Like try out many things before you actually start, because it can happen. Whatever happens, like that this person where you first thought like the first experience is nice, the sympathy is okay, but you have to do serious business in the end. So the team is so important, not only about how you can work together, is it a perfect fit like from your abilities, but also trust. Trust in your team, that you can, after so many discussions, after so many hard work doing, that you can still like the people and you can interact on a reasonable level. Then again, like technical abilities. I mean, we had a conference call with the CEO of one of the biggest German companies. And at exactly that moment, after 1 or 2 minutes, there was an electric outage in Germany, not in a developing country. And you couldn't imagine that. I mean, of course, we had our cell phones, and then we could reach him again, but like that was then okay. But just think of that. I mean, there are like sometimes things happening, you could never think of that. So infrastructure of all your electric ability is so important, and then also improvise. Do it like on a second step as well. Like think about like you can really like think about a backup every time. Take a backup solution. Then we had serious legal issues in the foundation process. That's so boring. I mean, I've studied law, but like when you start your own company, you will spend some time with lawyers, with consultants, with financial accountants. So you really had to be patient, and you have to be driven all the time by your idea, not lose it, because there are many people who just try to structure it on a really kind of narrowed way. It's about structure. It's like how this whole foundation process is working, and that's everywhere. It's like in every country you have this really formalized process. Then we had no capital at the beginning, so we were really starting from the scratch, and we were thinking how can we achieve our goal, that we can actually build that up to a big scale. And what we did was kind of pretending, in fact. I mean, we went to many companies, told them like we are delivering the services, we can do that, we're absolutely driven by that. Talked to CEOs, even went to the World Economic Forum, went to like big conferences where all these influential people are gathered. And then you had to do this typical sales. You have to talk to them, you have to follow them up. And in the end, like maybe only 10 or 5% of these people were actually interested in the solution, but they were. And then they talk, yeah, and then they answer, okay, well, we're interested in the solution, can you deliver? And obviously, we couldn't at that point because we were just pretending. So we had to be really fast and had to find the right partners. Like, so we had to look out for like the best in state companies with exactly these technologies, gather them together like on a typical partnership, and stick to your promises. And actually, we did that. I mean, we've created the whole team around us. Right now, we are completely independent. Now we have our own employees. But at the very first stage, we just gathered the right people together, and we fulfilled the promises. We were just like absolutely sticking to the point that we were first pretending, then taking the right people together and fulfilling it. And I think that's for every kind of business, that's a good advice. At the very first beginning, be just like a little bit too pretending, and then still execute and like take all the means which is needed to reach at that goal. And then again, also back to personal failures, I had also serious discussions with my co-founder because he was a really good friend of mine. And I have to say, right now, it has changed into a more business relationship, which is fine. Like we trust each other, we like each other, but we can't share anymore like this level of really nice friendship which you have with your very best friends. It's like if you're getting into the business world with someone else sitting next to each other, sharing revenues, like driving all these kind of goals, you have to think if you really want to do that with your best friend. Because your best friend should stay your best friend at some point. You should take someone, obviously, whom you are trusting in, but like it will change the relationship. It will still stay on a really nice level, and I'm really grateful that I have him. But it's not like on a really personal matter anymore. So again, if you're building up your team, you should definitely think about like not maybe taking your best friend, maybe taking a good friend, but this will change. Then again, it comes to execution. I mean, we've heard so much about education, theories. Life is a game. Life is also about strategy. I mean, if you have a good plan, you can definitely reach your goals. And I would say an advice, what you can definitely do, that's my points. Perfect team, like I've already evaluated, that's so crucial, like to take the perfect people together who can actually be in serious situations working together. Not only about fitting all your abilities, but in a stressful situation. Then you should also concentrate on cash flow. I mean, if we now look to many software entrepreneurs inspired by these movies like The Social Network, they all want to make a big exit, 15 million after 4 or 5 years, and then they're done. But that's not about my understanding of entrepreneurship. I want to create something long-lasting, something sustainable, and that should be the dream of any one of you, because you will actually benefit from that on a longer term. And again, at the same time, in your own company, you should concentrate on cash flow, because there are many startups, they will be backed up by serious VCs, and they're just doing conferences, they're mingling with each other, they're just meeting with startups via each other, but they're not like actually doing hard work. You have to go out, you have to sell your product. In the end, your revenues have to be nice. I mean, you can't achieve that only with talking about that, or like trying to achieve that only in kind of conversations, meetings. You should actually do that. And in the end, like no one will acknowledge you because you have met so many other interesting, nice startups. Because maybe even like you get to know influential people. It's not so bad to get to the old industries. I mean, first they're kind of arrogant, ignorant maybe, but like you should get to mingle also with old industries as well. Get to know like with these older people who are sitting in serious CEO positions, talk with them. Some of them will stay arrogant, some of them will be open, and these will be also your best mentors, I would say. People who are absolutely more older than you, but like who are open to you to get to know you better, like to want to achieve your personal success, and who are also open for innovation, because that's the biggest value we can deliver right now as young people. Like, there are so many old industries, banking, finance, construction as well, they stick to old patterns, to old traditions, and you should break these patterns. You should come up with new ideas. They are striving for new ideas, in fact. And then, this big gap in old industries, they have to be refined. And then follow global trends. I love to think simple at some point. Maybe not to create something so pretty new, like a big innovation, invention, or something like that. Try to focus on areas which will definitely be evolving. And in my opinion, in my understanding, that's like the growing population. I mean, you've seen that in India. It's even more coming up in Africa. Like 50% of the world's population is now under 27. 50%. So like you are one of the majority of the world. And that's a big change to former years. So automatically, you will see mega cities arising everywhere. Also in India, also in China, in South America, in Africa. I'm coming from the European world. There's nothing. Like we are going down at some point. Like there is definitely a recession. But like if you look at the developing worlds, these are like the main factors right now. Like they will actually grow on a tremendous basis. And if people are growing, and this number is nothing which you can change, it will definitely come. You can think about what is related to that. And that's water, that's food, that's waste, energy, infrastructure, exactly also some patterns which you have talked and discussed also in your projects as well. Like these kind of simple things are the energy, infrastructure, water, food, waste, all these sectors are so important in the future because so many people have to deal with it. And also if you look at serious investors, at one of the most known people like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, 30% of their investments right now are all going into these areas because they know they can't fail with it. I mean, of course, you can have, again, your personal failures in these areas, but the topic itself is so demanding, and there is still so much to do with innovation. I mean, waste management, water, these are unsolved problems, and there you can be the next change maker, the next problem solver. And you can think about ways how to tackle these really effectively. So I would say, if you're thinking back of a strategy for your life, just invest your own personal investment strategically into fields where you can't fail at all. You can still do the wrong steps, but like first, if you choose your area kind of carefully, that it will grow in the future, you will definitely succeed. And every time, right now, start now. I mean, that's all about leadership. It's not about like waiting too long. It's just trying it out. Maybe it won't grow at the very first stage, but then like at some point, like you will learn how to overcome your failures and even grow stronger. So I think that's the path to the future. Thank you. Open to any question of you.
So you spoke about simplicity in the way you approach business. You talked about how you believe in following global trends, but at the same time, does it not confine you? Does it not restrain you to look at other new opportunities that might be available? I mean, it's good to be safe and simple, but doesn't that restrain you at some point as well?
You mean that it's even more challenging to take some new areas, or?
Yes, so like you talked about how you should pick up something that's anyways going to rise, such as infrastructure, and you talked about emerging economies and playing the safe cards. But in playing the safe cards, are you also not trying to restrain yourself in what you could change or come up with something new?
I think again, it could seem simple at the first stage, but like there are many solutions right now also who are completely on a technical level. For example, there's an Indian company where I'm also sitting in the advisory board who is revolutionizing the cement. Like they're like doing nanotechnology things. They're turning carbon emissions into carbon nanotubes. So they're storing CO2 emissions. And this new application is harder than steel. That's actually a really fascinating thing. And I think you can create all these changes on a really like high level and then turn it down to these growing simple areas.
Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Mr. Marwitz, please.